Good evening, folks. We are here at Westside High School for the second round of the Metro Conference Tournament for the boys. Omaha Westside, the 6th seed, going up against the 11th seed Omaha Bryan here tonight. Going to be a great matchup. Both teams somewhat evenly matched, a little bit of different back and forth that we've seen overall from the record-wise. The Warriors trying to get back on their feet after a top 10 loss last week up against Lincoln Southeast. We looked at that game, a really harsh loss for the Warriors, a 45-69 loss up against the number 8 seeded Lincoln Southeast Knights. And really in that game, the really bad factor for them overall was the lack of being able to get past that Lincoln Southeast defense overall. As Jaden Hogan, Barrett France, really the big guys in that one going up against the Warriors. On the Warriors side in that one, however, we really saw Payson Gillespie and Chandler Meeks have some decent nights, both with 16 points in that one. But overall, the team really struggled from three, only 22% from beyond the arc. And then, field goal percentage overall, when you're only hitting 1 out of the 3 field goals, are going to be struggling for them. So after that one, we saw from the NEB Preps coaches poll, the Warriors dropped down significantly. Up in the top 5, we really saw somewhat of the same. Of course, Millard North, Bell West, Omaha Central, and Prep really rounding out those top 4 and really making that solidifying factor. But, going back down at the, 6, 7, 8, we see the Warriors drop all the way down to the 10 seed. We see Lincoln Southwest move up, into the rankings. Millard West able to get themselves securely in the rankings, and then Lincoln Southeast as well able to do what the job that they need to do. So of course here tonight we are working with the Omaha Metro Conference Tournament at the first round. We're going to see for the Metro Conference Tournament the brackets here tonight. Looking at Millard North at the 1 seed, they're going up against Burke. That game is going on right now. You guys can catch that out over at the Aaron Harding YouTube channel. Then we saw Papillion La Vista take on Gretna today at 2 p.m. Papillion La Vista with a blowout win at their home court over Gretna. They're going to be, taking on either the winner of Millard North or Burke. Of course, Burke winning last night to get themselves to this matchup here today. So for bracket 2, looking at Papillion La Vista South at the 5 seed. We're looking at Papillion La Vista South here at the 5 seed, going up against Omaha South. And that one, that switch up at 5-12, at the 4 seed, and then at the 5 seed, we're going to be Omaha Central going up against Elkhorn South. The winner of those will play next Tuesday, the 29th, up against each other. A great matchup those could be. Then we're looking at our bracket here with the 3-seeded Prep going up against Omaha North. You guys can watch that one on CPTV here tonight, as Prep's going up against Omaha North. And then, of course, here tonight we're seeing Westside go up against Bryan. These 6 and 11 seeds, going to be a great matchup here. Then we look at the final bracket. Millard West going up against Millard South earlier today. Millard West able to get a pretty convincing win. It was a little bit of a slow offensive night for both teams, especially Millard West, even though they're able to come out with the win comparatively to what they've been able to do. The paint was really a big factor for them. Millard West had a lot of paint points. A lot have been able to kick it out to the corner when they need to, and they've really been getting really good shots so far these last couple of weeks. Then we're looking at Bell West going up against Benson at the 2 and 15 seeds. Benson able to come out of that first round with the win up against Omaha Northwest, and then they're going to play Bellevue West here tonight. You guys can see that on the Thunder Beat. That game is currently going on down at Bellevue West. Going to be a great matchup. We're going to see. But here we have Westside going up against Bryan. We're going to take a quick break here on Warrior Television. And when we come back, we're going to get you guys to our key players of the game and then you guys closer to tip when we come back. And we are back here at here in the WTV Live pregame show. My name is Jaden Taylor. Alongside me tonight, Jonathan Willis. Oh my goodness, my bad, buddy. Jonathan Snower back here in the booth after a long time. It's going to be a fun one here tonight. Omaha Bryan going up against Westside. It's going to be a really high-paced matchup. Though Bryan has a little bit of the size difference going up against Westside here tonight. They got a lot of tall guys. The main guys we're going to look at for the Warriors tonight, we're going to look at Chandler Meeks. And what a couple nights he has had these last 4 nights. I've been seeing him 53 points, 16 rebounds, and 17 assists these last couple nights. He's had a really good effort for these Warriors, especially being somewhat of a big defensive effort for this team. Then who are we looking at tonight for Bryan?
Yeah, every time the Metro tournament comes around, if you're looking at an underdog, you're looking at one guy that you're going to look to step up for them. And for Bryan, that could be Lam Kawani this year. Bryan coming in, not the highest seed in the tournament this year, but they have some leaders like Lam that can get them through, and they're going to need him to step up here tonight if they want to get this win. Yeah,
I mean, he's really been a big force for Bryan so far this season. He's really been that big offensive presence they had, especially in the paint, especially going up a team like Westside that has a little bit of size, but Logan Wilson essentially is their biggest guy on this team. He hasn't had a ton of playing time so far this season. It's going to be really interesting how the game in the paint goes. So looking at the starting 5 tonight for the Warriors, we're going to start it off with Chandler Meeks, of course, at the shooting guard position. Then we're going to see Reggie Thomas actually at a forward position here tonight. Tate Odvody at the power forward position. Payson Gillespie at the shooting guard position. And then as well, the shooting guard Dominic Rizak here tonight. Warriors and these Bears have been going back all season. Bryan's really had a struggle this past week. They've lost 5 straight. In this tournament, you see, Coach O'Donnell, what do the Bryan Bears need to do to get themselves back on the right footing?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Coach O'Donnell because they're a very well-coached team. If they can put their pieces together, they can go on some runs, and as you mentioned, make it a high-paced game, run the floor, they'll be all right tonight.
All right, so going back and forth, I mean, the size is, it was really an issue for these Warriors last season. You're going up against a team that has 5 guys that are over 6'3". The Warriors only have 3 of those guys here tonight. How does Simons have to work some of that guard position to get themselves to the right foot up against a team that is so tall?
Yeah, it's something that Simons preaches a lot. You got to work on ball movement. You got to look for that extra shot. Got to keep passing the ball around. Get the ball up in transition. A smaller team, they're generally going to run a lot more, as we've seen so far this year. And if they can get those points in transition, they'll be just fine. All
right, so we saw about the really struggling thing up against Lincoln Southeast at Saturday. I mean, going up against such a good defense like that, they really weren't able to find good shots. What do you feel Simons is looking for tonight and throughout this tournament for them to get, really good shots off in good moments?
Yeah, they got to make them. And they got to make that extra pass, as I noticed. You can't be rushing. A team that likes to play in transition can easily take the first shot that they see, but they can't be rushing their shots in their possessions.
All right, cool. That'll be it here for the WTV Live pregame show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're just minutes away from tip. Westside, Omaha Bryan. When do we come back? all live stats will be on here.
Oh, cool.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Starting lineup for your Westside Warriors. Starting at guard is 6'1" junior, number 5, Chandler Meeks. At guard, 6'1" junior, number 11, Reggie Thomas. At forward, 6'4" sophomore, Odvody, 13, Tate. At guard, 6'3" junior, number 20, it's payback time, facing Gillespie. And at guard, 6'1" junior, the dominator, number 23, John Rezac. The Warriors are coached by head coach Jim Simmons, assisted by Coach Linka, Dylan Travis, Ted Tomlin, and Jared Porter. In the film room, it's the big man with one eye, Rick Burke.
And we're here, Westside, going up against Omaha Bryan. Second round matchup here in the Metro Conference Tournament. Seeing tonight for Omaha Bryan at the starting 5. We're going to see Ty Terrell, Abdir Bashir, Jalen Spears, George Beck, and Luam Kwani. We're going to see Spears get the tip going up against Odvody. And this one's underway. Warriors will start it off. We're talking about it so far this season. It's going to be really important for them. Be quick at the perimeter, get around to open shots.
Especially against a team with a 6'6" center in Kwani. They're going to have to try to get that outside shot going as Thomas goes for no good. But, you know, that's what they're looking for.
Bashir looking for a jumper, and that one goes in too easy. And it started off for Bryan. And we've seen a little bit of Bashir, both as well as Spears. Been really big. They've been done really well in the mid-range. Corner 3, Rezac, no good. And 0 for 2 from that corner for the Warriors tonight. Another corner 3 for Bryan. And Bashir in the left corner swishes it home. It's a 5-point lead early.
Not the start you want if you're the Warriors.
Especially for a team that feeds so much off of momentum. Meeks going to give it off to Gillespie. And they're going to call a travel. And we haven't seen a lot of that so far this season by the Warriors. We've talked about Simons so much. You know, these two teams are just really well coached. I mean, Simons has, you know, really worked these two, or I guess the Warriors, to be a team that doesn't let up a lot of small mistakes or turnovers like that. As up in the lane is Spears, and he puts one home, and it's a 7-point lead for Omaha Bryan early.
Going to see a lot of that as Westside tries to take away that 6'6" center. It's going to open up the lane a little more.
Odvody with a floater, and that one looked good up and in.
Good for Westside to get on the board here, minute and a half into this one.
And although a really slow first couple of games for Odvody, I mean, what a last, you know, few 4 games for him, especially, you know, the impact that he's brought from Elkhorn South. Long pass over to Odvody, looking for the cut, layup up and good.
That shot was just made of pure athleticism. Jumps over to the defender and gets that layup up and in.
The surprising thing that we've seen from this, you know, so far this season, Simons, when he saw him, didn't really think he was too much of a speed-related guy. A little bit of a slower guy compared to when we first saw him, but he's really been working on that so far this season. Is Kwani, layup no good, rebound, doesn't mean foul. It'll be Kwani's first of the night. And the Warriors will look to even this one up.
Look for them to maybe attack Kwani there near the paint. Try to pick up a second foul on him here early. They can't get something going on the outside.
Meeks can get off to Thomas out to the left wing.
And there it is.
Odvody, kick it out. Gillespie for 3, corner, good! Payson Gillespie saw 16 points on Saturday, and he continues it tonight. Spears, they try to work around the perimeter, working on Gillespie, driving in, layup, and we'll get the foul.
You know, Jaden, you've talked a lot about Simons here, but Terrence O'Donnell is a man that really knows his program. He built it from the ground up. They went winless early in his career, took them to state a couple years ago, and now they're back trying to claw their way back into Lincoln. So on both sides, they're very well coached, as we both mentioned, and it's going to be a great matchup tonight.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to, I guess, what the game plan is overall. We've seen, at least for the Warriors, Bo Schwenka has really been the main guy who's been putting up a lot of their plays so far this season. Spears, 41% from the free throw line this season. He misses both. Odvody, three-pointer, no good. Rebound will go the other way. Pass over to Spears. He'll look to slow it down in the corner. Three, no good. Rebound will go to Rezag. Gillespie, another contested three, no good. And Bryan will bring the ball back up. Kwani, layup, up and good. And that's, you know, just size presence up in the paint for Kwani. Meeks going to drive in, little spin move jumper, and it's good. Dang, Meeks makes that look easy.
Last year we saw him a lot as the guy you want him on the primary offense guy, on the primary opposition. He's a very lockdown defender, but he's getting it done on both sides this year so far.
Last year trying to work on Gillespie. Going to give it off back to the right wing, and it'll go to Kwani. Three from Bashir is no good, and he's 2 for 3 from the three-point line tonight. Meeks will drive into the lane, look for the layup, and won't get the and one.
Even though he didn't make the shot, that's just a tough play from Reggie there to drive that ball in on some of the bigger guys.
And Bryan will call their first timeout of the night. Tie ball game here early. And Jonathan, what have you seen here from the first 5 minutes?
I've seen that Bryan wants to push the ball, but they're okay slowing down a little bit as they have those bigger guys. So Westside's taking early shots early in their possession. They got down 5-0 early, but they clawed back, and now we're at a tie ball game. This is what we're going to see all night. Little runs from both sides. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, so we're seeing up on the other side of the bracket. Of course, Prep going up against Omaha North. Both these teams have went up against Omaha North this season. West had a really big win just about 2 weeks ago before they went to play in Norfolk. That was really their big weekend. And then Bryan just last week lost in overtime 60-57 at home. And that was a stunning one for them. Thomas's first shot is good. Reggie so far this season, 63% from the charity stripe. He really struggled up against Lincoln Southeast last night. And his second shot is good. Gives the Warriors a 2-point lead. Terrell.
Bryan's a team that's going to hang in there. They played Central earlier in the year, a top 5 team in a lot of polls. And they hung in there. They hung in there in the first half and then just kind of ran out of gas. So we'll see if they can keep it going here tonight.
Odvody on the fast break over to Meeks. Get off Caleb Benning, who just checked in. And he'll get his first points of the night. It's Caleb Benning. We've seen him top-rated freshman in the States by a couple groups. He's been a big sixth man for these Warriors. The Warriors overall just really have a lot of depth in this team. I mean, they've been able to have 7, 8 guys play consistently in almost all their games.
And even though they're a little smaller, as we've talked about, they've got athleticism, and they have a lot of pieces that they're working well together.
We're going to see Danga Rowe checking the ballgame for Bryan as Payson Gillespie checks out for C.J. Mitchell. Terrell going to give it up to Bashir. Kwani will force a foul.
He traveled.
Travel on him, excuse me, my bad for that. To go back the Warriors' way.
Kind of a pass that went over the top of his head, was looking to get it and couldn't quite grab onto it.
Meeks, another jumper, and air ball, no good. Ball go the other way.
That's what we talked about earlier. If you're going to run and you're going to take early shots, you got to make sure they're good early shots. You can't be rushing possessions if you don't need to. Game's been slowed down a little bit. Bryan's kind of been controlling the pace here early.
Kwani, long three, looks like it was blocked. And Meeks will give it off to CJ Mitchell. He'll slow it down in the corner, looking for a pass. Reggie Meeks, wide open three. And it goes in, rings around and in. And the Warriors get a 7-point lead. Reggie Thomas, 2 for 2 for field goals tonight.
Westside's flipped the script after going down early. It's been all them since that timeout, about the 5-minute mark.
Bashir trying to drive in on Mitchell. And they'll call a foul on the floor.
Not much more you can do there as a defender except move with him.
Well, I could call that on the shot, excuse me. Bashir will go to the line. And Bashir, so far this season, 83% from the charity strike. You can't get much better than that. And his shot is no good and will go out of bounds. Warriors looking to work the pace a little bit more here with just about 2 minutes left to go. Corner three opportunity for Benning. And no good. Rebound. Who's it out on? And it'll go Bryan's way. Reggie Thomas, a great hustle opportunity there, but unable to keep it going.
Even though they came out empty on that possession, that's what we've been talking about. They want to move the ball quickly and effectively, and they did, and they got an open shot, just didn't quite fall for Benning there from the corner.
Terrell gonna give it off at the top of the key for Bashir. Bashir working on Benning, trying to find a lane. He's gonna work it in. Layup's up and no good. Rebound. Ball will go to the Warriors' way. Open shot is good.
Odvody's got 6 here early.
We'll see Logan Wilson and Charlie Davis check in as Thomas and Odvody check out. As CJ Mitchell try to work from the top of the perimeter. Warriors working it around a lot. Davis, corner three, way off, no good. That's what the Warriors have really struggled at so far this season. 3-pointers have been an issue. Spears in the corner three, and he makes it in. And it makes it a 4-point ball game.
The shot on the other end felt a little rushed, up 7 with a minute to play in the first quarter, and it led to a 3 on the other end.
Davis almost gave it away. Meeks looking for the jumper, and it's off the mark, no good. Rebound. Throw out to Benning. Mitchell, top of the key three, and it's good. CJ Mitchell up and through, and it's his first points of the night.
It's a big answer there from CJ Mitchell after that corner three in transition.
Spears trying to work on Meeks. They give it off. Bashir working on Mitchell now. We'll give it off to Spears, looking for the final shot. They'll call a foul on the floor. Foul will go on Meeks. It'll be his first of the night, and he'll check into the ball game for Dominic Rizak. Bashir trying to find somebody in. We'll give the pass off to Kwani. He'll try to drive in. He'll lose the ball. Give it off for a little bit of a pass. Now end the first quarter. Shot is no good. And a 7-point lead for the Warriors. A little bit of a struggling start from that first quarter. The Warriors are back ahead, up by 7. They're going to take a 1-minute break, and so when we come back on Warriors Television. Second quarter action, Warriors Bears. And we're back here, second quarter of action. Second round of the Omaha Metro Conference Tournament. Warriors, Bears. A 20-point lead for Westside. And Spears and the Bears will look to try to get back into this ball game. They had some real big momentum early in that first quarter. Warriors were able to come back. Bashir going to work on pacing Gillespie as him and Meeks check back into the ball game. Starting lineup fully back in for the Warriors. He pass out to Bashir, trying to give it off to Kwani. And he'll force a foul and one. And Lam Kwani, I mean, that is the presence that we've seen from him all season.
Yeah, at 18 a game, Kwani's been a big presence for the Bears, and he's stepping up big here early.
Mitchell will come into the ball game for Meeks. Meeks only came in for about a minute, and he's back out. And Kwani's shot is no good. And he'll get the ball back. Excuse me, he'll get a second shot. Looks like Odvody stepped in early. Kwani's shot is good. The Warriors will try to regain some more momentum. Thomas going to give it off to Odvody. Bears working a little bit of a 2-3 press. Pacing Gillespie in the corner. Trying to find what he can do. Dangerous pass. Mitchell trying to reset for the Warriors. Odvody the left wing. Corner three from Reggie Thomas. And it rims in. 2 threes for Reggie Thomas here tonight. And it's back to a 7-point lead for the Warriors.
Outside
Spears.
shots have to fall for Westside if they're going to slow it down.
And that's that height advantage right there from Spears. Warriors, of course, really had an issue height-wise last season, even up against some of the comparatively smaller teams in the state. They've been able to get a little bit more size this year, but it's been a struggle. Pacing Gillespie stopped his footing, trying to give it off to Rezak. He's going to try to keep the ball. We'll see what he can do. Tip pass, going to give off to Odvody in the corner, and it's in. Tate Odvody down and in. And it's his first points from beyond the arc.
Odvody just a huge welcome presence early this season for Westside.
Spears going to drive in. We'll get the and one, no good. And he'll get 2 shots.
That was a tough shot. Just kind of took a little fade floater mix. Didn't drop, so now he'll have opportunity for 2 free ones.
This is the point where the Warriors, I guess, late in the game, if this one gets close, is the guy you're going to want to foul. 25% from the charity strike as he makes the first one. But the Warriors this season, and the charity strike has been an issue, especially late in the third and fourth quarter. Those are shots you got to make in big moments. Spears' second shot, probably just jinxed myself in my own statement as he makes both of them. Mitchell, only a freshman, has been doing somewhat of a, like a 6th or 7th man, has done a great job at the point guard position, somewhat leading these Warriors. Gillespie, long pass, gonna go out of, stay back in, it barely stayed in. Meeks will try to drive. Over to Odvody in the corner, and bang, it's in. Tate Odvody back-to-back threes, and he's already got 12 on the night. Bears looking to pick up the pace, gonna give it off, and it's gonna be another turnover. Warriors gonna work it back the other way. Mitchell in the corner, he's gonna drive in, almost lost his footing, and O'Donnell wanted a travel call. But the Bears will get the ball back. Bashir trying to work around, gonna cut it out, and the ball will go out of bounds, and back-to-back turnovers.
A little bit of sloppy play from both sides here.
And we talked about it, when you have such high tempo offenses, you can have those moments to where it's not easy for other teams to get set and find their footing.
Kind of work them both ways.
Then we saw in those first couple minutes as Pacing Gillespie hits a 3 from the corner. And Pacing Gillespie, these Warriors, after really struggling from beyond the arc up against Lincoln Southeast, I've done a great job tonight as Payson Gillespie hits another. A little bit of a different defensive setup for the Warriors. Been a lot more aggressive up around the perimeter. Bashir gonna kick it out. Terrell, jumper, off the front iron, no good. And Thomas, 1-on-3, looking to do something. Layup is up and in. And O'Donnell wants a timeout. 14-point lead for the Warriors. And what a momentum swing.
Terrence O'Donnell fired up there on the left side of your screen here as Bryan has gone down into a 14-point hole. Not what they wanted after starting on a 5-0 run. Maybe gaining some false confidence there early. Westside picking it back up, and it's been all them since then.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit as the Warriors were able to get that lead back. We saw Omaha Bryan kind of work towards a little bit of a different defensive scheme that they had earlier on in the game. But they've been given too much room, in my opinion, over to Payson Gillespie and the other guys in the corner. I mean, you see Tate Odvody as well as Payson Gillespie and Dominic Rizak, and then we saw Reggie Thomas on one. They've been hitting a lot of corner threes here tonight. I think that's what O'Donnell wants to talk about, being able to work a little bit more on the perimeter. I mean, they have the size to be able to, be consistent in the paint, especially up against the Warriors. The Warriors have been a quick team in the paint so far this season, and that's really where they have that advantage. They're a really fast team, and like I said, it's two really coached teams here tonight.
I think Westside's kind of breaking down the game plan of the Bears here because they, as a team with the more size, they wanted to slow the game down, and they've done that. But Westside is moving the ball very well, and they're hitting their shots, and that's why they have this 14-point lead. They're adjusting to the tempo change.
Bears down 14, just 4:30 left to go here in this second quarter.
Need to find a spark if they want some momentum here late in this first half.
Kwani trying to find somebody. Ball will stay back in bounds, and another turnover. Payson Gillespie tries to dunk it in, barely gets it in. The Warriors gain a 16-point lead.
He did what he could there on that fast break. And the 2 points, Simons will be happy with that.
Ball go out of bounds off of Omaha Bryan. We'll see off of Terrell, excuse me. The Warriors will get another forced turnover and look to extend the lead even more.
Bryan looking a little deflated here.
Odvody, top of the key, three!
And that's exactly why, because Westside just keeps hitting their shots. Odvody in particular hit a few of those threes.
Bashir looking for the layup. He won't get it, but will get a foul. Well, we saw that. I mean, right there before the defensive scheme for Bryan was really that 2-3 zone a little bit set up. And we saw everybody work around the perimeter on that one, a really spread out defensive style. I mean, the Warriors have done a really good job of working against that Bryan defense and finding those open shots. We saw from the corner was really the weakness in that defensive scheme earlier. And then right there, we see at top of the key, a little movement around the perimeter. It's really been well for them. Second shot is no good. Warriors will bring it back up. It's an 18-point lead. Odvody going to give it off to Thomas. Almost a deep pass. Benning won't want the three. He almost lost the ball. Layup will get blocked. And Bashir will bring it back the other way. Corner going to Spears. Going to kick it back out. Kwani. Little jumper from the left hook. Excuse me, right hook, and it's no good.
Kwani is a name we thought we'd be saying a little more often here, and here late in this first half, we haven't said it much. He's only scored 5 points.
Odvody right into the lane. Wide open opportunity, puts it in. O'Donnell is fired up about that one. Spears trying to drive into the lane. He can give it off. Ball's going to go out of bounds, and he'll stay to the Bears. We'll see Davis come in for Rizak. And then we'll see Abdul Bashir come out of the ball game for number 24, George back. Spears, long pass. Going to go over to Terrell. Bashir. Corner three, And we'll go out of bounds.
Bryan hasn't hit from the floor in quite a while. They hit those couple free throws, but other than that, they've been kind of dormant. That's why Westside has been able to push this lead out to 20.
Odvody, and will be forced on a travel.
That was called. It's going to be Bears ball.
The turnovers have really hurt the Bears here tonight, and not really working well up against the Warriors turnovers that we've seen somewhat tonight.
Westside's a team that's going to score on you, especially when they hit their shots like tonight, and Bears just haven't been able to figure out defensively how to stop that.
Kwani, wide open lane, layup up and good. It's his first real big points here tonight. Benning top of the key to give out to Payson Gillespie. Thomas, corner three once again. This team, right corner, has been the gold pot for these Warriors tonight. Spears looking for the floater. That one smokes in. The big lead still for the Warriors. Gillespie going to give it off to Benning. Over to Odvody. Odvody going to give it out to Benning. Over to Meeks. Thomas. Layup no good. Spears will bring the ball back up the court. Kwani won't be able to get that pass. The Warriors will slow it down. Wide open corner three. Charlie Davis, no good. Ball go back the other way. Layup is up and good.
Some scrappy plays on those last few possessions where Bryan finds a way to end that and scores, and now Westside's going to slow it down a little. We'll maybe look for the last shot or one of the last shots here, just over a minute to go.
Davis going to try to work and give off to Odvody.
We've seen Bryan in multiple different defensive schemes. As you said, they tried a little man, they tried a little zone.
Goodness gracious! Tate Odvody!
And no
What
matter,
are you doing here tonight, man? Putting it through.
no matter what they change up to, Odvody has been there, and they have not been able to stop that shot. He's got a hot hand tonight. Big reason Westside's up 20.
Terrell almost lost that ball, not paying attention. Charlie Davis tried to go in, was getting the foul. And Logan Wilson will check into the ball game for him. Terrell this season, 38% from the charity strike. Down 20 with just about 42 seconds left to go. First shot is up and good. Second shot from Terrell is up and no good. And Gillespie will bring the ball back up the court. Maybe one, maybe two more shots here in the first half. Gillespie gonna give it off to a pass into a lane. Thomas won't be able to get anything through. Terrell out of the corner to Bashir, and they'll call a travel on him. And another turnover for these Bears. That's really what we've seen for the Warriors. They've been able to capitalize off some big, Omaha Bryan turnovers. But overall, I mean, what can we talk about from beyond the arc tonight for the Warriors?
A lot of times you're going to hit a 35, 40% mark from beyond the arc is kind of what you're looking for. But they've been shooting very, very well tonight.
Meeks trying to work it around. Warriors kind of looking at guard setup. Meeks looking up, easy layup, up and good. Bryan might have time for one more shot. Long shot up and no good. And that will end the first half. Westside 50, Omaha Bryan 29. And the Warriors offensive firepower tonight. 20 points in the first half for Tate Odvody. Another 13 from Reggie Thomas. Well, the Warriors tonight from beyond the arc have just been dominant.
And Odvody's found a lot of those points from beyond the arc, but he's not the only one. So you can't necessarily bring a double to him because then someone else is going to be open. And so now Terrence O'Donnell has like a situation on his hands that's going to be really hard for them to figure out heading into the second half because it's been everyone for Westside, not just Tate.
Yeah, and we've been seeing with that. You see that back and forth movement for a lot of the guard setup for these Warriors, especially when, Omaha Bryan was trying to work it out more on the perimeter defensively. You saw Meeks and Thomas driving in, getting themselves good shots of being able to cut it out to some guys in the corner. They've been doing a really good job overall of getting these Omaha Bryan defenders a little bit to bite when they shouldn't. And that's why they've been able to get so many good shots here tonight. So we're going to take a quick break here on Warriors Television at the end of the first half. Warriors 50, Omaha Bryan 29. And when we come back, we're going to get you guys the Dunkin Trivia Question of the night. Of course, hashtag Dunkin Trivia gets you a $10 gift card. Stay tuned. All right, as we are just about 2 minutes away from the start of the second half, we are going to see our Dunkin Trivia question here tonight. What varsity girls basketball player has the record for most rebounds in a single season? Of course, hashtag Dunkin Trivia with the correct answer. We'll get you a $10 gift card to Dunkin Donuts. Once again, hashtag Dunkin Trivia on Twitter with the correct answer. First person to get it will get a $10 gift card to Dunkin Donuts. So we're going to see here tonight the Warriors, what a job they've been doing from beyond the arc.
Yeah, they've been shooting it tremendously. Offensively, defensively, they're just clicking. You know, we came into it looking at Bryan, their roster. They have a lot of guys over 6 foot. Westside, a smaller team. We kind of thought maybe that would be an issue. They've held Bryan 6'6" center to 7 points in the first half. He averages 18 a game. So they're playing really well offensively and defensively, hitting all their shots. Not all of their shots, but they're hitting most of their shots, and they're playing really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, overall for the Warriors from beyond the arc tonight, they've only missed three three-point shots here tonight. And one of the main guys we've seen is Tate Odvody, 20 points on the night, just over in the first half. And I'm sure they got a lot more for him coming in the second half. We've also seen Reggie Thomas, 13 points here tonight, 3 rebounds and 4 assists. We saw Chandler Meeks a little bit of a slower night, but we've known him somewhat for being a defensive specialist overall. He's the guy, you know, somewhat like Tommy Connolly a little bit if you want to look for, you know, football sense. He does the things not a lot of other guys see. He gets in the paint. He does a lot of the dirty work for these Warriors. We've seen him 4 points tonight, another 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. But tonight for the Warriors,
it's been the Tate Odvody show on offense, and it has not been unpleasant to watch.
Yeah, I mean, what a presence he has been for these Warriors coming from Elkhorn South. And he's really that big piece the Warriors wouldn't have had coming into this one. A 21-point lead as we head into the second half. And the Warriors, of course, will go up against, if they win it here, will go up against the winner of Creighton Prep and Omaha North. That one going down right now on CPTV. Odvody at the top of the key, gonna kick it out to Chandler Meeks. Trying to find something, pass it around.
This is where Westside, we thought maybe they'd struggle.
Meeks' 3 is no good. Rebound will go the other way.
We thought maybe they'd struggle as the pace slowed, but in that first half, they did a really good job of moving the ball. And that's kind of where Odvody was the benefiter. He found himself open because of the ball movement and the off-ball movement that we saw from Westside. That's why he has his 20 points. You got to give credit to all 5 guys on the floor.
Spears will draw a foul on the floor.
Number 23, Reza is second and team first here for the Warriors in the second half.
3 is up and no good from Bryan. So that's one thing also for the Bears that isn't going, you know, not just defensively, but offensively. They've had a hard time scoring from the floor. Been in the free throw line a decent amount. After a hot start, they're just not clicking anymore. Thomas goes up for 2, no good.
Yeah, Bryan will bring it back up the floor. Spears trying to drive in on Payson Gillespie. Look for the layup, and it rings out no good.
Spears has just had a tough night. You know, he's trying to use as much of his athleticism as he can. He checked 3 there. That was a bad shot. Throws a rush. We talked about that early in the pregame as a team that likes to push it, to not rush their possessions. And they hadn't been doing that. But that one felt a little rushed there.
Yeah, especially something you can't keep doing if you want to, you know, stay distance in this one, as Terrell will give it off to Kwani. But the Warriors this season, that's really been their, you know, biggest weakness overall, somewhat of their offensive ability when they're moving too quickly. Layup, gonna be an air ball, and the Warriors bring it back up the court. Payson Gillespie, little Europe step, and one. Now they're gonna call it on the floor.
And foul come against the Bears. Trucks number 2.
And they'll call it on Terrell. That's gonna be his second of the night,
Of the second half.
as Meeks will check it in. Thomas, wing three. Off, no good. Rebound, second chance points, Chandler Meeks. That's what we've been talking about, dirty situations. Meeks is in there. Terrell, little movement on. Rizak, step back three. And a dirty one there.
Watch for Brighton to cover that corner. We saw it on the last possession. They're going to try to use both sides of the out-of-bounds lines to kind of double team them, but they hadn't been doing that in the first half, and Westside has found themselves open a lot in the corners. A lot of those threes we've been talking about came from the two corners of the floor. Watch for Brian to try to make some adjustments there.
Yeah, Warriors trying to move a little bit differently offensively, and Tate Odvody have a night, sir, 22 points.
You saw a little bit of a makeshift screen there. You saw Rizak cut. The Bryan defenders had to switch, and Odvody found himself open.
Barney's layup's no good. Ball's going to go out to Spears for three, no good. And that's not what you want, especially out of O'Donnell for the Bears. Just easy layups, and one for Reggie Thomas. And that's a situation, somewhat of a nightmare for Omaha Bryan. You give yourself a really good lane to give yourself a good layup, then have a wide open three, you miss it, can't get the rebound, and then an and one the other way.
Reggie Thomas is just one tough cookie. You see him driving in the lane around the hoop a lot. He's not necessarily the biggest guy on the floor in most games, so his athleticism really sends it in stride for him.
Thomas makes a three-point play, and it's a 25-point lead for the Warriors. Terrell trying to work around the perimeter, looking for a screen. Gonna drive into the lane, a little floater, and it's no good.
Cold start for the Bears here to start this half.
And they really just haven't been getting good shots. I mean, that wasn't anywhere near a good lane for them. They had a lot of more opportunities to move it around. Odvody looking for the layup, up and no good. And Bashir looking for the fast break, and he'll try to slow it down. Pass gonna go over to Rope, and it's no good. And Gillespie will kick it out to the corner to Dominic Rizak, over to the top of the key. Meeks, jumper, no good. Rebound. The Warriors get it again. They're gonna look to slow down and reset. Rizak in the right corner, and long pass. Warriors will still keep it. Rizak looking for the corner three once again. No good. Odvody, second chance points. Physical in the paint, and he puts it through.
We haven't seen a lot of him using his size and grittiness so far. A lot of his points, as we said, came from on the arc, but that was just a tough play from Odvody to get in there, grab that ball, and put it back up.
Way no good. Three from Spears. O'Donnell after a little bit fired up, and one from Reggie Thomas.
It's his second and one opportunity in the last minute and a half or so. Reggie Thomas just toughing it out in the paint.
And I mean, these Bryan Bears just deflated here in the second half. You saw O'Donnell fired up in that first half, and he's sitting home a little quiet here in the second half. But Thomas won't be able to get the three-point play, but what an effect he has had. Spears loses the ball, and there'll be a foul. So Meeks able to keep his footing and force somewhat of a missed opportunity from Spears, and then Spears gets his first foul of the night.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Bryan looking kind of deflated. You know, they came out early in that first half, looked like they were going to put up a fight, got up big. We've seen a lot of that so far from the Warriors, and there it is again, Payson Gillespie. And as I mentioned at halftime, it's not just been Odvody, it's been everybody. If they're open, they've been hitting the shot.
And what a job these Warriors have done tonight from beyond the arc. We haven't really seen this so much this season. You know, last season the Warriors were really reliant on those three-point plays. It's gonna be a block from Payson Gillespie.
And then he goes behind the back. Gillespie doing it all here recently.
Long pass, hits off the backboard. Odvody looking for the layup, and it's in. His Warriors doing everything tonight. And surprised O'Donnell has not been able to call a timeout. Bryan trying to set themselves up with the Warriors. What a start to the second half. Spears trying to work on Odvody. Trying to find anything. Little jumper, and they'll get it. And it's in.
Breaks a long cold spell. They've been sitting at 32 for quite a while. Westside in firm control.
Benning, three, no good. Second chance, Payson Gillespie. Physical on the back rim and puts it through. Almost another turnover. Ball still stays away, and it'll go the other way. Long pass, and it's a foul on the floor. Looks like Abdi Bashir is laying on the floor, holding his knee, and that's not a good look. But looking at Payson Gillespie and Tate Odvody tonight, just what a job they have done. I mean, Payson normally is a guy that's worked around the perimeter, then comes up with the rebound and puts it through. And the Warriors up by 34 here in this third quarter. I think this is exactly what the Warriors needed, getting closer to the middle way in the season.
And headed into moratorium, coming off that loss on Saturday, they really needed something to get them going a little bit here as they enter into this break. But they're going to come right back, and they're going to take on a really, assuming that this holds, they're going to take on another really good Metro team, next Tuesday in the quarterfinal. It's just going to get tougher from there. And so, Westside, I think this is something that they needed, a confidence booster here, headed into their moratorium, and then on the other side of it as they continue into the Metro tournament.
So you have to be able to get back up. Looks like he just fell hard onto his knee when he came down looking for a rebound. But this overall second half for the Warriors, it was a really strong first half for both Gillespie and Odvody. It looks like they've been doing even better here in the second half.
We've seen a little more out of Odvody. He's been in the paint, using his size and grit a little bit around the rim. We've seen a little more than just some three-point shots from him, and he's been playing really, really well. The spark the Westside needed here tonight after falling down early.
Logan Wilson, who just checked back into the ball game, layup up and good. And it's his first points of the night. Spears trying to work on Meeks. Won't find anything. Ball's going to go out of bounds. It'll be to the Warriors. Another turnover. And I think O'Donnell is just making these Bears just deal with what they've done so far here in the second half, as Kwani will check into the ball game for Spears. Update over at Creighton Prep. Blue Jays up 40-21 in the third quarter over Omaha North. Logan Wilson from three, no good. Was not even contested. And right there, I think that shows the Bears' game plan has just not been great for them tonight. Meeks from three, no good. Rebound will stay to the Warriors. And they'll call travel on Charlie Davis. We see Cole Rickley check into the ball game for Omaha Bryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Lofton in the corner trying to work it out over to Kwani. And already here at the end of this third quarter, Bryan's bringing in some of their backup guys.
Yeah, offensively, Bryan thought that they had something. Just never really came into fruition. And then defensively, giving up all those open looks. Westside with some really good ball movement that they just couldn't contest.
Yeah, Kwani's three is no good, but second chance points for a rope is up and good.
Kwani's a name we thought we'd be saying a lot more than we have.
Charlie Davis is leaving the corner. Second chance. Chandler Meeks. Domination from the paint tonight. And we're closing in on the end of this third quarter. Bashir trying to drive in on Davis. Almost gave the ball up once again. He's going to slow it down. Maybe look for the last shot. A 36-point lead for the Warriors here in this third quarter. And another turnover as Charlie Davis will look for the last points. They'll call it travel with 2 seconds left. That's his second in 3 possessions. Long shot is up and no good. And that ends the third quarter here at Westside High School. Westside up 36, 72 to 36 in this one. And I mean, the Warriors overall, I mean, the big story in that first half was the work around the perimeter. Now it's just been the overall physicality in the paint.
Absolutely. I mean, the weight room really came into play there in that third quarter, just showing some toughness, some hustle, you know. Odvody had a really good rebound and put back, you know, against. That takes a lot of strength and toughness, and it's something that we didn't see a lot from him in the first half. But you know, him and Chandler Meeks there at the end, and just a couple other plays in that third quarter, that weight room really came into effect.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Odvody, I mean, 26 points here tonight, another 9 rebounds and 5 assists. The other two guys have been looking at as well. Reggie Thomas a little bit slower in this second half, comparatively. But, I mean, 18 points here tonight, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. And then Pacing Gillespie has just been fire from beyond the arc tonight. 14 points, another 7 rebounds. You saw that rebound and dunk right after that. And, I mean, this team overall has just outplayed Omaha Bryan here tonight. And for the Warriors, we'll see a lot of the backup guys come in, you know, somewhat shortly.
It's always good to get off on a good start here in the Metro tournament. You know, it's a pretty deep conference. There's a lot of really good teams in the Omaha Metro, especially on the boys' side of the bracket here. So it's good for Westside to get off and get some confidence headed in to the next round, assuming this score holds.
Bashir going to kick it out to Rickley. Rickley over in the corner. Lofton trying to get it out. We'll have another turnover. CJ Mitchell will try to bring it down. Over to Reggie Thomas. Trying to find something. Layup up and no good. Rickley will get the rebound. Bashir, long three. No good. Rebound bouncing around. And it'll go the Warriors' way.
Westside slowing it down a little bit here in the second half overall. Still moving the ball really well.
An update for the girls over at Papio South. They're also here in this tournament. A little bit of an upset. Westside 51, Papio South 48. The Warriors, after a really struggling first couple of weeks, find their footing and get a big win in the Omaha Metro Conference tournament. Logan Wilson, tall man, hitting the threes, puts it in. It's his 5th point of the night.
You know, you mentioned in the pregame that he's a big guy, but he doesn't get a lot of, you know, minutes. We haven't seen a lot of him. That's where Odvody stepped up, but here late in this one, he's still making a little bit of an impact.
Benning thought he had a possible charge there, but it's his first foul of the night. And Lofton here this season is 0 for 2 from the free throw line as he hits the first one. 6:41 left to go here in this fourth quarter, and this one just about wrapped up early with the Warriors. Moving on with this big win, if we see everything working as it is over at Creighton Prep, it's going to be a Westside Creighton Prep quarterfinal matchup in the Omaha Metro Conference tournament. CJ Mitchell, no mercy, putting it in.
Just as a team, they've just been on fire from the floor tonight, whether it be inside or outside of the arc. Those outside shots in that first half is what propelled them to such a big lead.
Another turnover. Caleb Benning working it the other way and will force a foul. And he'll get 2 shots up at the line. But the Warriors, even up as large as they are, as the time keeps clicking on the score clock here, not sure the reason for that.
Running clock, 30-point lead.
We'll see that.
Second back in, number 23 brings that for number 11. Thomas, Jaden Taylor.
Benning's first shot is up and good.
BP 20 checking in the game for the Bears for number 5, Daniel.
You know, one thing we've seen from Westside tonight, outside of those, you know, the obvious shot making and the ball movement, they're just a really athletic team. You know, they may be a little smaller on paper, but they can get it done in the paint if they need to. They're a really athletic team that can attack the basket and finish. And we've seen a lot of that here in the second half as things have slowed down a little bit.
BP Kwani's layup is no good, and we talked about that. I mean, the Warriors are just such a quick team. It's hard to reorganize your defense.
Brian's gone with multiple different schemes, trying a few different things, and it just hasn't worked.
Brayton Gregorich will check in the ballgame for Dominic Rizek. 43-point lead for the Warriors. And looking, kind of going on, I mean, it's something we haven't seen a lot of. And a huge block by Logan Wilson. Ball will go to the Bears, but still we're looking at here in the Omaha Metro Conference tournament overall, a 7-day layoff in between the two games. As you've seen, a large three from the wing from number 24, George Bach.
Yeah, and after game day today, they can't practice for a few days because of the holiday moratorium, which means there's no team practices officially. So they get a little break, but
and Logan Wilson's size puts another one in. He's had a really strong second half since he checked into the ballgame. Finally getting minutes for him. He's done a really good job. But when we look at that, I mean, the Warriors, as well as most likely Prep, will get a 7-day layoff in between games. And I mean, how do you feel, that can adjust team schemes, for the better and for the worse?
Yeah, I think that the coaches have a little time to think, and they're focused on one opponent. A lot of times you got a game on Friday and Saturday, and it's hard to focus on just your Friday opponent or just your Saturday opponent because you have two games and they're back-to-back and you get no practices in between there. So having 7 days off, I think the coaches have a little more time to think things over. Westside and Prep, obviously, two programs that know each other very, very well. And I think that 7-day layoff can be a real good factor for anyone that moves on into those quarterfinals.
And we look towards the future. I guess some of the setup of how the Warriors would go throughout this. They would go up against Prep, likely the winner on the other side. We have Millard West took down Millard South today. Bellevue West going up against Omaha Benson. And the way Bellevue West has played so far this season, it very well could be an easy win for them. Just scouting out, looking for the future. But Prep and then likely either Bell West or Millard West, whereas Millard West had a really good game up against Prep, only lost by 1 in that one. As London Stubblefield loses the ball out of bounds.
It's funny just because as you go down that list of teams, it's just like the top 4 or 5 teams in the state are all from the Omaha Metro. So you've got a really deep and good tournament year coming up in this next week and a half or so, where Westside's going to run into a lot of really, really good basketball teams. But just in general, there's going to be great matchups, anticipating, some of the top players in the state going at it with each other. Just right here in the middle of the season where teams are trying to differentiate between whether they're pretenders or contenders.
Bo Lucas will check into the ball game. We saw last week going up against Omaha Benson. Don't have a clip for you here. We'll put it on Westside Wired if we want to put it up. But Lucas, a great spin move, and able to get a few points. But he's really been known for his football ability as the state champion Warriors earlier this school year. But the odd thing for the Warriors, that as long as they go for the rest of this tournament, they will be at Creighton Prep. So every single game so far for the Omaha Metro Conference tournament will be at Prep, which I know for a couple teams like this is going to be hard. But, I mean, especially without the fans here, it's going to be a real big difference looking at kind of the atmosphere in those ones.
Yeah, normally when you see a Westside Prep matchup, the gym's full. There's not a lot of capacity. Sometimes they have to shut the doors if they're playing here because they just play in such a, it's a smaller gym. But playing that game without fans is going to be something interesting, especially for the players who have played it with fans. Obviously the stakes are still there. They're two schools that still, don't like each other very much. And so it'll be interesting. But in a normal year, they'd play all 4 games, assuming they would make a final at Ralston Arena at the same location. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have to play the rest of the games at Prep. Of course, the semifinal and final will be a neutral floor.
Brayton Gregorich, first minutes into this one, and he hits a three. And that's been the story all night for these Warriors. The three-point ability has just been huge. This one will wrap up 85-44. Omaha Westside gets the first win here in the Omaha Metro Conference Tournament, and they'll move on to the second round. We're going to take a quick break here on Warrior Television to get you guys to the post-game show as we talk to our player of the game tonight when we come back. All right, we are here at Westside High School. A huge win for the Warriors. Going to go on to the second round. Likely going to play prep next Tuesday night for you guys. Really big nights for you too. What does it mean to get this win early in the Metro Conference Tournament?
It feels good. Losing to Lincoln Southeast, we just came in with a chip on our shoulder, and we wanted to prove that, we're one of the top 10 teams in the Metro.
All right, looking at Payson here tonight, I mean, you've mainly been known for your guard ability around the perimeter, but you really had a big night up in the paint. How are you able to change your game plan and just rule around the paint tonight?
More teams are going to start forcing me to attack the basket because I'm a known three-point shooter, so I can get them on pump fakes and stuff like that and get to the paint easier.
All right, so, for Tate here tonight, a couple struggling games, for you up against Millard North. And really just overall the start of this season. How are you able to, work back and adjust these last few games?
Just focusing on just doing what I need to do to help the team win and being more aggressive just throughout the game.
All right, so for both of you guys, I mean, you guys get another, about 7 days layoff up into your next game up against Prep. The rest of the tournament as you guys go will be at Prep. What are you guys going to work on this next week to go up against, some of the best competition you've seen all year?
We'll just stay in the gym, keep getting shots up so we can come out against Prep like we did last year, hopefully, and hit 18 threes again.
All right, cool. All right, so going forward in this season, what do you guys feel you need to improve on to get you guys to your peak this season?
I just feel like playing as a team. When we play as a team, it's really hard to stop us. I feel like, and we get a lot of open shots, and it's just easier.
And to you, Payson?
Yeah, we have a lot of guys on this team that can score the ball, so it's tougher to guard defenses. They can't focus on one man.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, guys. A big win here for the Warriors. 2 started off here in the Omaha Metro Conference Tournament. They will go up against Creighton Prep next week, next Tuesday. That game likely be a 6 p.m. start time on CPTV. My name is Jaden Taylor, alongside me tonight, Jonathan Snover, and the entire WTV Live crew. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. We'll be back next year, actually, when we'll see Bryan once again. Thank you so much.